Great to connect in with you today. Today I wanted to speak about autoimmune disease because the rates of autoimmune disease globally are on the rise. And so what does that mean? It means that there's about a 5% increase in the number of cases of autoimmune disease per year globally. So that's quite a significant increase, and it is estimated amongst many of my colleagues and some of the experts of the industry that we're going to see an explosion over the next few decades of autoimmune disease. So today I wanted to speak to you about what it is, how to find it, and what you can do about it. So with autoimmune disease, it is a condition where the immune system starts to attack your own cells. Typically, the immune cells should be able to distinguish the difference between us, or self, and non-self. Non-self meaning bacteria, viruses, food particles, toxins, remnants. The immune system has a mechanism of being able to differentiate between what the cells that are ours and something that's not. And so it knows that if something's not ours, that it needs to start attacking. And so there are a couple of theories about how autoimmune disease comes about. We don't know for definite because there are so many different causes. There is no one mechanism. There's a couple of theories as to what goes on with autoimmune disease. So one of them is that those immune cells they get confused, is the terminology that's used. They get confused and they can't differentiate between self and non-self. It's a little bit simplistic, and I don't think nature is meant for us to get confused. So it's all about looking beyond that and what causes the confusion, what causes the immune cells to wonder or to not be able to differentiate between us and things that are not us. There is another theory that goes on, and I do see a lot of cases where this is one of the triggers, and it's where stealth infections. So stealth infections could be viral, could be bacterial, but these stealth infections hide inside our cells. And when they hide inside the cells, the immune system can detect that they're there, and as part of the process of getting rid of the virus or the bacteria, it destroys the cell it's encased in. And in that scenario, if there's lots of say viral viruses or bacterial, and some of those viruses might be things like Epstein-Barr virus, Ross River virus. If they're inside our cells, the immune cells will attack that cell or the group of cells, and it might be an organ. So it might be a thyroid, or it might be nervous tissue, or it might be muscles. And so the immune cells start to attack all of the tissues in that area to eradicate the virus that's hiding there. And so that's another theory, and I do see a lot of, in clinic, I do see a lot of clients that have got this sort of process going on. So there are some theories as to why autoimmune disease starts, but essentially when the immune system attacks our own tissues, it destroys them. And it destroys the tissue that cell is in. So, and like I said, it could be the muscles, it could be the thyroid, it could be the skin, it could be the hair. So it depends on the tissue that's being attacked as to what some of the symptoms are or what's going on with that situation. So there are a lot of autoimmune diseases, and many of them aren't diagnosed until it's too late. They go undiagnosed for a very long time because the symptoms that can come about with autoimmune disease can be quite generalized. Some of the typical symptoms that starts includes tiredness and fatigue, dizziness, pain, and the pain might be movable, so it moves around the body, rashes, nausea. Some of the other symptoms, so they're the main symptoms. Some of the other symptoms could be weight gain or weight loss. It could be swelling of some tissues. It could be headaches. It could be bloating, brain fog. So there are a lot of generalized symptoms that we need to look into to uncover the autoimmune disease that's going on underneath. And so, like I said, the effect of autoimmune disease is destruction of tissues, and that's where you get breakdown of functioning of that particular tissue type or organ. And that's where once the autoimmune disease has progressed, we can see clearly the symptomology that comes from that. But it's very important to try to get on top of it before that destruction happens too much, so that we can help to balance the immune system and save that tissue as well. So, like I said before, there are a couple of theories as to what goes on, whether it's just the immune system getting confused or the immune system attacking viral or bacterial fragments inside the cell. But there's no one cause for autoimmune disease. So that's why there's no one cure. And everyone is different. So there's different causes or different triggers that can start autoimmune disease. Genetics is only 25%. So genetically we could have some of the genetics, like family history, if the parents have had autoimmune disease, the grandparents, there is a family lineage, but those genes don't automatically get turned on and you automatically get autoimmune disease just because your parents or your grandparents had it. There are factors that turn on or off the genes, and it's those factors that we're really interested in because they're the ones that we can do something about. And so some of these other factors can include hormones, toxins, stress, gut health, dysbiosis, inflammation. So all of these, and I do show this little document here. This is something that I show to my clients to help point out all of the different aspects that could be causing the autoimmune disease, but there's always inflammation involved. So it's about looking at which of the triggers or which of the factors have been, or a combination of the factors, because it's usually not just one factor. It's usually a combination of factors that creates a perfect storm to turn on the genetics to allow this to happen or to encourage this to happen. So it's about looking at those factors, repairing the factors, removing the factors, if it's toxins, if it's gut dysbiosis. It's about removing the factors that triggered the autoimmune disease so that we can turn off the autoimmune disease and help the body to repair itself. How do you know if you've got autoimmune disease? There are tests that we can do, primarily looking at your inflammatory markers, and I have spoken previously about inflammation and how we can test for that. So we can test for inflammation to see if there is a chronic low-grade inflammatory response there. You can also test for ANA, which is anti-nuclear antibodies. And then for each disease condition, whether it be MS, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac, lupus, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, vitiligo, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes is now being factored into as an autoimmune condition. Each of these conditions have different markers in the blood that we can test for to see which of the autoimmune diseases it might be. And so it's very important, like I said before, to get the testing done early. If you do have non-specific symptoms and you're going, I just don't feel well, but all of my blood tests are showing up in the normal areas, looking at antibodies to help unveil whether there could be an underlying autoimmune condition going on. And the issue with that is if you've already got an autoimmune disease, it is now seen that we can suffer from more than one autoimmune condition. And the researchers have found that we can get clusters. So the clusters of conditions tend to have an affinity for each other. So things like rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, and Hashimoto's. I've had a client with all three autoimmune conditions she was suffering from at the same time. Might also be that you have vitiligo and Hashimoto's, or rheumatoid arthritis and celiac disease. So we can get an accumulation of more than one autoimmune condition. So that's where it's really important to look at the factors that are turning on the autoimmune condition and turning on the genes that's creating the autoimmune disease. And you see, researchers have also found that majority of people that are suffering from vitiligo also are suffering from undiagnosed Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So it's very important to be that if you have got one autoimmune condition, maybe look for some others, as well as looking for the factors to turn them all off. Because it's estimated that about 90% of underactive thyroid, I get a lot of clients that come in with underactive thyroid condition where the thyroid's not functioning as well as it should be, and no other tests are done, but it's estimated from the research, it's estimated that 90% of those people with underactive thyroid are Hashimoto's. And it's estimated that in Australia there's more than 1 million people walking around that have got undiagnosed underactive thyroid, or what's called subclinical thyroiditis. So it's very important to get the testing done if you are suffering from any of the symptoms like tiredness, fatigue, muscle aches and pains, rashes, dizziness, nausea, weight loss or weight gain, that you do look into it a little bit more. Could there be an autoimmune condition underlying it? And the biggest takeaway I wanted to leave with you today is, contrary to popular opinion or popular thought processes, that autoimmune disease, once you're diagnosed with it, you have it for life. It's not necessarily the case. There are ways that we can turn off or balance the genetics, turn off the genes that are creating the autoimmune condition, and turn off the factors that created the autoimmune disease. Now I'm speaking too fast because I'm getting excited. But there are ways that we can turn off autoimmune disease, that we can help to balance the body again. And it's all about looking at the factors that are going on and helping to balance those out. So like I said before, if you've got any unexplained symptoms, please go and do some investigations to find out if there could be any autoimmune disease. Because let's expose and uncover these autoimmune diseases so that we can all solve them together. I look forward to speaking with you next time. I'm Teresa Todd, Conquering Health Naturopath and Biochemist. Bye for now.